Have one of those days that you're just like, why am I here? What am I doing? And all of a sudden, you just get the thought you're here because you need to be here. You never know who's going to be watching. You never know who's going to show up. So, yesterday was a really busy day, but I need to focus on today. I need to focus on you. Hi, you, right there. Um, because you're about to do something, but you're afraid to take that next step. And yes, I'm talking about the math test. And you guys, I love it. I love when people are like, Audrey, you need to see this other person. You need to see this other person. They're not like you. Right. I'm not like them, and they're not like me. But when I break down math concepts, I do this so when you come across the test, you're not freaking out. You're able to take on the challenge. So in order for you to understand concepts enough for you to do well on whatever assessment, GED, ASVAB, Accuplacer, TEAS test, HESI test, ACT, SAT, it doesn't matter what standardized test it is. Just trying to get away from the learning and answer that question of why, not really why, but how. How should I think? That's the piece that's missing. Now, didn't get a death threat, but did get, why don't you just teach and just give us all the stuff? Because I'm not going to play havoc into your entertainment. I'm an educator. I've been doing it now for 28 to your entertainment. I'm an educator. I've been doing it now for 28 years, going on to my 29th year. And I'm including my tutoring to help you break down concepts. Learning just the tricks is not going to help you. You need to understand the why. You need to just learn so you can apply. It makes sense, guys. Why? You need to just learn so you can apply. It makes sense, guys. Because if I teach you the tricks, then when it's time for you to take the test, you're like, oh, how did that trick go? Oh, wait, I remember Audrey did something like that. Oh, I remember that guru, he told me how to do this. And then as you're trying to think, tick, 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 time is going. And you got 1 minute to answer the question if you're taking the ASVAB. If you're taking the GED, you have 1 minute and 10 seconds for each of the questions. You already have pressure on yourself. So why not stop trying to do what you used to do when you were younger? I will find every excuse in the book to not do it, and you will put all your energy into not learning it. How's that working for you? It's time for a change. Let me teach you step by step how to approach it. So now when you see it in a word problem, when you see it on a test, it's not so difficult. Okay? Stop fighting me. What we'll be doing today is we're going to be looking at a concept and see how it evolves throughout the whole math process. And what you will probably see, we're going to be looking at a concept and see how it evolves throughout the whole math process. And what you will probably see in your assessments. So for those that don't know me, after you got a nice finger pointing at you, my name is Audrey Codner, and I'm the owner of Math by Audrey, which used to be ACG Math Tutoring. And what I do is I break down concepts for you to understand so you can learn and apply so you can pass your test. And the test could be algebra, Algebra 2, it could be pre-calculus, it could be calculus, a little bit of trig, a little bit of geometry, or anything that's involved in the GED or high school equivalency test, as well as the ASVAB, the Accuplacer, and so forth. All right, let's get started. Let's learn. So, the one concept that seems to be a reoccurring problem for a lot of students deals with exponents. Okay? So, first thing that I really want to do, let me darken this a bit, is the difference between 4 squared and 4 times 2. This is going to be an ongoing debate. Okay? Now, when you're looking at exponents, it has rules. Okay? So if I am multiplying, a power, if I'm multiplying two powers that has the same base, that's what the A's are. The A's are known as your base. Okay? So if you are multiplying and they have the same base, you are adding the exponents. Okay? So say I had 2 cookies here. I had 3 of the same type of cookies here. So how many total cookies do I have? I am going to have a to the 5th, 5. So I'm basically saying I have 5 of the same type of cookies right in front of me. Okay? That's what exponents are doing. When you are dividing, you're making things smaller. You're basically breaking things up and trying to keep it as even as possible. So I have a to the 5th. A to the 5th is saying I have 5 of these, chocolate chip cookies. Then in your denominator you have a squared. Well, a squared is saying, hey, chocolate chip cookies. Then in your denominator you have a squared. Well, a squared is saying, hey, I have to see if I can break up, okay, a to 2 cookies, right? So when they're the same base and you're dividing, you're actually subtracting the exponents, okay? So this is the things, this is the reason. So it's not just say, hey, look at this, memorize it, and regurgitate it back to me. Help you, because now we're in a calm situation. This is a safe space, okay? Whatever comments you put in. But I like for us to make sure that we keep this moment right here a safe space. So if you need to ask questions, please do. Don't keep it within yourself. All right? Now, I'm going to explain this one a little bit more in detail. But let's go back to the difference between 4 to the 2nd power and 4 times 2. So, 4 to the 2nd power. Let me explain what is happening in this whole process. This smaller 2, that's your exponent. Its job is to say to the base, which is my 4, how many times this 4 is going to multiply itself. It's literally like, hey, 4, what's up, partner? What we're going to need to do, I need for you, there's no questions about it. You're going to take yourself and you're going to multiply by yourself 2 times. Okay? So 4 times 4, that would give us our 16. But when it comes to 4 times 2, notice the numbers are the same size. Versus over here, this 2 is basically superset. It's up, it's smaller. There you go, John. Good morning. All right, so when we have our 4 times 2, that means I have 4 groups of 2, or I have 2 groups of 4. So I'm grouping item 2, or I have 2 groups of 4. So I'm grouping items. So that means I have a total of 8. Okay? So when you see the superset, like a small 2, a small 5, a small whatever, this is your degrees, a number that's usually in the degree spot. That's when you're going to repeat your base. We have to know the difference between these two. A lot of people, and I want to say a good 92% of my students at least gets one of them wrong. Okay? Now, that's 4 to the 2nd power is different from 4 squared. 4 to the 2nd power is different from 4 squared. What happens if it's a power? We're going to get to a whole thing of it. Okay, we're going to get to a whole thing of it. So now, we have another difference between. So the next one, let me say this is example 1. Now we got to example 2. The difference between negative 3 squared versus negative 3 squared. This is another one that gets everybody. It's to use, okay, careful E7, careful, okay? This is why I do this. These two are going to give you two different numbers, okay? They're going to give you two different numbers. So, the power, the difference between these two, one has a parenthesis and one does not. So you have to ask yourself the question, what is being raised to the second power? So when we look at this one here, I have a negative 3 squared. Notice how I say it. Say it the same as this, negative 3 squared. Don't sound different. But what's different is because there isn't parentheses, this is telling me that only and only the 3 is being raised to the second power. Only the 3 is being raised to the second power. So this negative is a tag along. So 3 to the second power, that's the same as saying 3 times 3. So now we're multiplying 3 times 3, which gives me a 9, but that negative comes down along for the ride. Okay, good morning, Sando. Right? So now, when we take a look at the one inside the parenthesis, this is taking the place of what we said up here. My base is not just the 3. My base, for example, number 2, is negative 3. So that means I am multiplying negative 3 to itself twice. Okay, there you go. All right, so you're multiplying, not adding, multiplying. So now we have two things going on here. We have the rules of multiplying negatives, because a negative times a negative will give me a positive. And then we have 3 times 3, which gives me 9. So this one is going to be negative 9. There you go, John. And this one's going to be positive 9. See what I'm saying? Losing $9, gaining $9 is two separate worlds. So this is the power of parentheses. You have to know what is actually being raised by the exponent. Okay? Because we do this all the time. Oh, Audrey, I can just put it in my calculator and it'll be perfectly fine. Oh, wait. Okay, I have to tilt it a little bit. Okay, because when I put in my calculator, I got negative 3 squared, all right, and I hit enter, and it gave me a negative 9. True, but if it's parenthesis negative 3 squared, you're going to get a positive 9. All right, so this is why we break these concepts down. Because I'm going to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, they're going to have both of those answers on that test. So they need to know, do you understand about the power of parentheses? Okay? So now, someone asked a question. Okay? You do it real quick? Sure. There it is. Okay. All right. So now, for the next example. So let's expand on it. So let's say my situation calls for negative, and then I have 2x to the 4th y, and all of this is being raised to the 3rd power. Okay, you're so welcome. Okay. So, 1. When you see this, how are you feeling? I feel overwhelmed. I feel, oh God, I'm not going to do this. I feel all right. It's doable. I feel I'm confused. I feel, tell me how you feel. Insert just one word. I feel blank. I feel good. I feel bad. I feel stressed. I feel frustrated. Put it in there. Okay, confused. Thank you, Shane. Appreciate you. Shan. All right. Okay. Angel, Barry Plus, Algebra 2. I got you. Okay. All right. Feel stuck. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome back, Noah. Okay. I know, it's hard. It's hard. You feel curious. Okay, Susan. How are you? Welcome back. Okay. Intimidated. Sando. All right. Thank you. Thank you for your honesty, because we have to address these feelings. Because in order for us to break these down, we have to look at some of the rules. So we talked about a couple of them already. Okay? We talked about when we multiply, we add the exponents. When we divide, we subtract the exponents. But now we're going into this world. When we have a power or an exponent being raised by an exponent. So just like what we did with the others, we have a parenthesis. The negative is outside that parenthesis. So this is telling us that we're raising everything inside of this parenthesis. We're raising it to the 3rd power. Right? So if we're going to raise it to the 3rd power, let's do it. So that means we have our, this is what's inside the parenthesis. We're going to raise the 2 to the 3rd power. Okay? So we're going to raise the 2 to the 3rd power. We're going to raise that x to the 4th, raise that to the 3rd power, and we're going to take our y and raise that to the 3rd power. And all of this, as soon as we're done, we're going to multiply it by the negative. Okay? So we're not touching this negative at all. Okay? So everything is being raised. So when you raise everything to a power, you're using this plus. Okay? Where basically when you have a power being raised to a power, you're multiplying the exponents. Okay? When you're multiplying the exponents. So when we take a look, everything inside that parenthesis is being raised to the 3rd power. You're not doing your multiplication, because if you think of it, it's a please excuse my dear Aunt Sally situation from left to right. Okay? Exponents comes before multiple to right. Okay? Exponents comes before multiplication. So let's take a look. 2 to the 3rd power. It's not 6, which a lot of you guys didn't put down, which is good. Alright? So 2 to the 3rd power, that means 2 times 2 times 2. 2 times 2 gives us 4, times 2 gives us our 8. Alright? Now here, we have x to the fourth power raised to the third power. Let me elongate it for you first so you can see where this is coming from. So if I did my 2 to the third power, that's 2 times 2 times 2. Now, this x to the fourth power, that's being multiplied to itself 3 times. That's what this exponent is telling you. So if I did it as an expansion, they all have the same base. So since they all have the same base, I can add the exponents. So 4 plus 4 gives me 8. 8 plus 4 gives me 12. So then I can get my x to the 12th. But instead of writing it out as an expanded form, I can do this. I can multiply my exponents. Okay? I can multiply my exponents, which will give me x to the 12th. Same answer, two different ways. Okay? This is just more expanded. Alright? So now we have our y. Let me turn it this way. So we have our y cubed. So that means we're going to have y times y times y. We use that base of y and we are writing it out and multiplying it 3 times. So y, if you don't see an exponent, what's assumed to be here? If you don't see an exponent, what's assumed to be right here? Okay, Jace, I see you. Shan, I see you. Okay, Misha, how are you? I see you. Haley girl, I see you. Unique, I see you. Alright. Mila, I see you. Ree, I see you. Backup, I see you. Oh, hi, I see you. OG, I see you. Okay, Retro Goose, I see you, but be careful. Okay, Pretty Kitty, I see you. Alright, The Saint, I see you. Okay, Humble Hero, hello Humble Hero, I see you. Alright, so it's assumed to be a 1. Excellent, guys. So since we are multiplying, that means we are adding the exponents. 1 plus 1 plus 1, that gives me 3. So it'll be y to the third power. Or you can just multiply. 1 times 3 gives me 3. Bringing down the negative. Okay, yep, see you, OG. So when you have a exponent, a parenthesis, and an exponent. So if there's a parenthesis that's splitting up your two exponents, you multiply. But when they're just being multiplied and they have the same base, you add your exponents. Okay? Oh, we're not done with this one yet. It's like, oh shoot, we're not? No. Okay? But now, we did our exponents. So what we have to do next is multiply everything by a negative. Alright? So now that means we have to make all of our stuff negative. So if we can, it'll be like a -8, and then you had your x, y's next to it. The negative is only affecting the 8. Okay, because what's actually here is a -1. And we only multiply in situations like this, numbers with numbers, coefficients with coefficients. So that's why your answer is going to be -8 x squared y to the third. This is your final answer. Okay. So breaking it on down. I know some people are like, "Man, this is mad easy. This is so easy." Da, 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 da. Okay, fine. This is not the platform for you. Okay. Okay. Is this considered one term? Yes. Good job, OG. Yes. This is considered one term. The only way it separates, which you're going to see in a moment, is if you have a plus or minus sign in between. So this is a monomial. Yes. Okay. Missed the basic. All right. So we have another one. You know, just like DJ Khaled. Here we go. All right. So right now I'm not going to worry about the negative in front. Alright, I'll move this so I can move this. Alright. Okay, thanks for the follow. Moving up to 8th grade. Yes. I got you, OG. Now also, OG, if you need, I'm going to show you, just make sure you stick with me because I'll show you guys where to go so you can find my YT channel and you can use that. Okay? And I got you. Is this your first time going to the 8th grade? Moving up to the 8th grade? Okay. Welcome in, Michelle. So what we're doing, step by step. Yes. I know, I can't say certain words. I feel weird, but, you know, TikTok doesn't like anybody trying to go off the platform, you know, like we're a bunch of sheep. We can go anywhere we want. We can do what we want. All right. Okay. First year and 8th. Okay. Got you. Got you. All right. Okay, so John, I see you. Misha, I see that. True, I see you. Okay. Whatever, you figure out the answer. XJ, that's funny. Andrew, I see you. Let's see if I skipped anybody. Okay, I haven't. All right, cool, cool, cool. Good morning, Harley girl. How are you doing? Okay, very close, Andrew. Okay, math is your worst subject? Why? I feel that if we all had a positive experience, had like a math teacher that kind of slowed things down, made it a little fun, but at the same time, you know, challenged us a little bit, I think our experience with math would be completely different. Not to be conceited, but I wish I had someone like me when I was learning this, when I was younger. You know, I don't know if that's being conceited, but we didn't have, you know, YT, people making videos. We didn't have TikTok where people are breaking down concepts. Like, all we had was Sesame Street, an electric company. Yeah, I'm that old. Um, was there light back then? Yes, back when I was a young girl. Oh, I was so free. Shut up. Okay. So elementary school, new schools. I got you. Okay, I'm not bragging. All right. All right, so let's take a look at this. Let's break it down into steps before we start doing advanced, okay? We are taking everything inside this parenthesis and we're going to raise it to the second power. So let's break it down step by step. Trust me, kids love this. So we're taking our -4 squared we're taking our x to the 6th and we're going to square that. We're taking our y to the 10th and we're going to square that. And then we're taking, last but not least, our z, or z, and we're going to square that. Okay? So, everything, right? So we're thinking a quarter is 25 cents. Exactly. Soon enough, we're going to have kids that are like, what's a quarter? I know it's going to be scary. So, taking each of these in its own little world. So this is why I said a lot of you guys are right there. But this time, the negative is inside the parenthesis. So my base is actually a -4. So a -4 squared, that's the same as saying -4 times -4. So now we have a negative times a negative. There we go. That's going to give us a positive 16. Okay? It's all right. It is a different language, Janine, so you're right. So let me just break it down as slowly as I can, okay? So -4 squared, that means we're taking our base of -4 and we're multiplying it to itself twice. Okay, that's what the exponent's job is. So now we have x to the 6th raised to the 2nd. So we have an exponent, a parenthesis, and an exponent. When we see parentheses, we're doing multiplication. And that's what you're doing with the exponents. You are taking your base of x, but you're going to multiply the 6 and the 2. And 6 times 2, that gives us 12. Okay, good. Good, guys. So now, we're doing the same with y to the 10th raised to the 2nd. So we have an exponent being raised by an exponent. So that means we're multiplying them. So this should give us y to the 20th. Okay. Alright. So now we have our z. And if we don't see a number as the exponent, it's assumed that it's a 1. So now for our z, or z, you're multiplying the 1 times the 2. Okay? So 1 times 2 gives me 2. So now that we broke it all up, let's put it together. Okay? Let's put it together. So that means you have your 16, x to the 12th, y to the 20th, z to the 2nd. And that's your answer. Okay. All right. Okay. Going through it step by step. And I know sometimes, especially for educators, when you have like 30, 20, even 26 kids in the classroom with all different learning possibilities, you got to be the one to control the pace of the class. And you start from the very beginning. Especially math teachers, I'm telling you, because you are a tested area, and you're a tested area where most schools struggle with. English, they have their thing, but they always seem to pass. But for math, it's a different world because it is a different language, and people don't realize it. They just try to throw math in with everybody else. No, we're our own entity, okay? So when it gets down to these things, breaking concepts down, we have to break it down step by step. So now I have 2 more. Aw, Janine, stick with me, okay? Please stick with me. Because here's my thing. Not because I want, to repopulate the world of everyone loving math. You don't have to marry it. You don't have to date it. Just give it a kiss once in a while, right? So when it comes to it, let me show you how we break things down, okay? Step by step. And you're going to be doing so much better, okay? All right. So now, these are the things that we usually see. We start off from the very beginning, usually like a little elementary type thing. Then we progress to a little bit, and then we get into like middle school, a little bit of high school. But now we're going to take it one step further, okay? So, with us taking it a step further, we're going to see how it shows in algebra, okay? Algebra, Algebra 1, Algebra 2, this is what you will see, especially if you're trying to take your GED. This is for this is something that everyone, a good 90, I would say 90%, maybe 87% of students usually get this wrong from day one. All right, tell me how you're feeling. You see this, right? The rules of math never change. You need to pass your ASVAB. I got you. Let's go. Okay, math is holding you back, and no longer. You're right with me, Stacy. Right there. Okay, OG's feeling excited. Okay, about to be a fail. All right, I need for you to change your mindset. Kevs. Confused. Okay, Janine, I got you. Okay, Misha. Okay, you're giving me something. All right. So tell me how you're feeling. Confused? Overwhelmed? Dear blessed God, let me go. This is the devil's work. All right. Now, this is what a lot of people, okay, I'm starting to see it. I'm starting. Better now? Hi, lovely bones. Okay. Now, this is what a lot of people do. We all of a sudden, we did a lot of work on exponents, right? We just did a whole lot of work. Okay, Tiffany, I got you. We just did a whole lot of work with exponents. And we said, hey, this base was a -3, so that means we had to multiply -3 twice, right? That's what we did with the exponents. When we broke it down here, all right, we had that 2 to the 3rd power. That means we had to multiply that base of 2 3 times. Why is it that when we venture here, we stop doing it? Okay, and you're like, what? This is what a lot of you guys are saying. So some of you guys are giving me an answer of 2x plus 14. Some people are giving me an answer of x squared plus 49. All right. Or we're saying the x squared plus 14. A nice little combo. All right. This is what's happening. For this one, you multiplied this 2 to the x and multiplied that 7 to the 2. This is an exponent. The exponent is smaller, so they're not of equal pay grade, okay? So you're not multiplying everything by 2. That's not what we're doing. This one, you raise the x to the 2nd power, okay, and you raise the 7 to the 2nd power, okay, but you forgot to make the base. It's partially right, so I'll take half off. This one did a combination of raising the x to the second power, but then multiplying the 7 to the 2. So let me show you, okay? This, now inside the parenthesis, it's not a number. It's called an expression. And I forgot who said it earlier. This is a binomial because the x and the 7 is being separated by this addition sign, which is called an operation. So if you ever say what operation, I'm talking about adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. But right now, we got addition going on, but it's this expression is being raised to the second power. So just like what we did, I'm going to put it over here, actually I'll put it over here so it won't get confusing. Just like what we did for 3 to the second power, and we said that is the same as saying 3 times 3, you're doing the same thing here. We have our base of x plus 7 being multiplied to itself twice. Okay. Can I come to your school, please? I'm here. Alright, so this is still a base. Even though it's written like an expression, we need to write this base out twice. Okay? Photomath? Yes. And the reason why some people, if you notice that some teachers write their quizzes, like write it out, because photomath, you can't read handwriting. So we had to get slick. There we go. So now, if you remember back in the day, I know, so many rules, right? But think of it, keep it simple. It's an exponent. That means this whole thing is going to be your base. Just like over here. That's your exponent. The single number is your base. So now from here, we're actually going to distribute. You might know it as FOIL, right? First, outer, inner, last. Sometimes, and I'll be truthful, I get confused. What a lot of you guys were giving me that I gave you half points on is you gave me the first and you gave me the last. But you didn't give me the OI. You didn't give me the middle part. So that's why we have to do this. So we're going to take our x in this first parenthesis and we're going to distribute to everything in the second parenthesis. So x times x, that gives me x squared. Alright? Now we're going to distribute x times 7. Well, x is a variable, 7 is a constant. So we can put them together. And since they're both positive, it's going to be a positive 7x. Okay, this is how you represent multiplication. Alright? So now, we're going to take our 7, and we're going to take this positive 7, and we're going to distribute that to everything in the second parenthesis. Okay? FOIL is nothing but distribution. But you can't say, oh, I'm going to FOIL it when you have a binomial, like 2 terms in one parenthesis, and possibly like a trinomial when there's 3 terms in another parenthesis. You're going to say you're going to distribute. So why make it hard for yourself? So 7 times x, right here will be 7x. So the green is representing the second time we're doing it. And now 7 times 7, that gives me a positive 49. Okay. So now, all we did was took the first term and distributed to everything in the second parenthesis. That's what's in red. Then we took the second term and distributed to everything in the second parenthesis. That's what's in green. Okay? Now, take a look right smack in the middle. Right here, we have 7x plus 7x. We have like terms to combine. So this is that middle term that was missing from this answer. Okay? So now 7x plus 7x, that gives me 14x. And what do I do with everything else? That plus 49, that comes down. And since this is a positive 14, we're going to put a plus sign. And then what happens to that x squared? That comes down. Okay. So what we have to do is combine those like terms. So now, here's the next thing that a lot of people usually get wrong. And they always put it as an answer choice. You're not going to finish up with 15x squared plus 49. Because x squared and x are two separate worlds. Okay, they're two separate worlds. So you can't go ahead and combine a two-dimensional and a one-dimensional space. No. You trying to cause some crazy stuff? Alright, so this, ladies and gentlemen, is your answer. Okay? Hopefully I answered the question of how. Okay? Right. Okay? So you can't get, if I didn't start, and that's a good point, if I didn't start with an equal sign from the original question, I should not have an equal sign as my answer. Okay? The difference between an expression and an equation has equal signs. Expressions do not. Alright? Okay? So you have to do the first, outer, inner, last. Okay? Not a problem, OG. Because a lot of people, and that's like a common thing, after you do this and after you teach it for a while, you're going to see what people get. And I'm not doing it to embarrass. We're doing it to instruct, to tweak. It's not like you're, and a lot of you guys are like, oh, I'm dumb, I hate math, I'm stupid, blah, 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 blah. And the reason why I'm saying it like that is because I used to say the same thing to myself. But until someone clarified and broke it down, oh, that's why. And plus now you're in a state of mind that you want to learn. When you're younger, you just wanted to be cool. You just wanted to be cool. You wanted to be liked. You wanted to be appreciated. Or, you know, when you're younger, you want to be worshipped. I don't know why. Okay? But that's what you wanted. Alright? Alright, so I got one more. Okay? One more. So just in case people want to take a quick pick, go ahead and take a quick pick. Okay, I got one more example. Alright. A little challenging, but the same process. Alright. Just reads the packet. Oh God, I hate that. I'm sorry. And there's a lot of people that do that now. They just have packets and packets and packets, and like no one takes notes anymore. Why? You're stealing my instruction. You're stealing my process by writing things down. That's why, like, when you watch these lives, it's great that you're watching the live, but if you're not applying the knowledge, it's completely wasted. And then I get sad. Okay? Alright? So, breaking this down. Okay, we're going to break it down. Take a look at it. Let me kind of let you arrange. Let's see if we can get the process. Exactly. And there is a lot of assumptions because they said, oh, well, you're in Algebra 1, so that means you should have seen this before. Or, oh, you're in Algebra 2, oh, you should have seen this before. And those are the phrases that, like in the back of my neck, all my little nippy naps, raises and it gets straight. If you know, you know. When people say, especially teachers says, oh, you should know this because you've seen it before. Don't assume. Don't assume. Okay. Okay, what they say again? Voice recording. Yes. Voice recording. Going over. I love when people do voice recordings and don't listen to it. You're like, okay, what was the whole point of that? Right? Now, if we're like, I don't know where to start, put question marks in the chat for me, so I know how I should angle this. If you're like, ooh, I see the problem, I see it, Audrey. You know, I'm right there with you, but I'm not sure where to start. Put a question mark in the chat for me, please. Hey, sweet Kelly, thank you so much. Okay, God's beloved, yes, thank you for your honesty. All right, thank you for your honesty. Hey, mathematics. Schedule and teaching the prerequisite lessons. I'm not going off schedule. But then is the alternative. Oh, then the alternative is going off schedule. Yep. I know. It's hard. It's tough. Because you have a curriculum to follow. But sometimes you're just going to have to do it. Sometimes you're just going to have to do it. Alright? Simplify. Okay. Crossing fingers. Okay. Full method. Yes, we will be doing this. Alright. So now, just like what we did before, our base, in this case, was x plus 7. Now, our base is 2x minus 3. So when we take a look, we are writing our base out. And yes, there is a quicker way of doing this, but I wanted to get to this part before I start doing tips and quicks and all that stuff. Let's just get the basics. So your base is 2x minus 3. Your exponent is telling you how many times you're going to multiply it to itself. Alright, there you go. So now we're going to ignore that top one. Okay, cover that up. So now you're going to focus your attention here. So we're going to take this 2x, this first one, and we're going to distribute that to each term in the second parenthesis. Okay, so focus. 2x times 2x. So let's go with the 2 times 2. That gives us 4. X times x. Remember, when you're multiplying, you are adding the exponents. That's why this is x squared. If you don't see the exponents, if you don't see anything physically there, it's assumed to be a 1. So it's really keeping that base of x and you're adding the exponents. 1 plus 1 gives us 2. Now distribute the 2x to the negative 3. Do you hear how I say that? This minus sign turns into a negative and is attached to the 3. Not the 2x, the 3. So now we have 2x times negative 3. A positive times a negative always gives me a negative. That's that multiplication rule of integers. So negative what? 2 times 3 gives me 6, and x comes with it. Since there's only one x, you're bringing that one x down. Alright? So now, we're going to distribute, the negative 3. Do you hear how I said that? Now we're going to take the negative 3 and distribute that to everything inside of the second parenthesis. Okay. So negative 3 times 2x is a negative 6x. Negative 3 times negative 3, a negative times a negative is a positive, and 3 times 3 is 9. Alright. Okay. So after we distribute, I like to kind of cover this so we can take a look at it. Alright. So now, this is a part where everyone tends to get screwed up. This is when our eyes tricks our brain. Ready? We have negative 6 plus a negative 6. You hear how I say it? People see the same number and immediately think, oh, that's 0. Nope. They both carry the same signage. This is a negative 6. This is a negative 6. So if I loaned you $6 and for some sick and twisted reason I loaned you another $6, that means you owe me $12. Okay? When the signs are the same, don't think of them as minus signs. I think that's what throws a lot of people off. Once I get into this state, I see this as a positive 4, I see this as a negative 6, I see this as a negative 6, and I see this as a positive 9. So what I do is I'm combining like terms. When I'm combining, I'm adding. I'm getting a total. So what happens? I'm down $6, I'm down another $6, that means I'm down $12. So that's why it's a negative 12x. So now I have my plus 9, that comes down, as well as my 4x squared. This is covered. This is my final answer. Because x squared and x and the constant, there's nothing in common to combine. Why wouldn't be the x squared? Because x squared and x, two separate worlds. I can't combine those. I think that's Chase. Not a problem. Alright, so you're starting to understand it. Alright, Stacy, I will take that. Okay, you're so welcome. Refresh your memory. There you go. Alright, this makes sense. Awesome. Okay, so this is what I do here on TikTok. I used to like put a whole bunch of problems and we walk through it and we do it and we feel all good about ourselves. But then I noticed that there was a huge piece missing. Now that you're understanding and you're feeling a little comfortable with it, what are you going to do with this information? All right? What happens next? What, are you going to go to a cat video? You know, maybe see a little Cooking with Kaya. I'm not even sure if she's hip and happening anymore. But what are you going to do with this information now? But that was the piece that made me change how I present things here on TikTok. So what I decided to do is, if you want, if you go to my profile, okay, we're going to pretend, we're going to clean this up. So if you go to my profile, you'll see a link, okay? It's my Stand Store. So if you see a link, go ahead and click on that link. It says Stand Store by Math by Audrey. And this will take us, and this is what I said, stick with me. Okay? No, I'm not in Virginia. I'm in Maryland. Alright? So if we take a look right here, the YT sign, if you click on that, you will get all of my, after you subscribe, you will get a listing, and it says, here it is, okay, my TikTok lives, uncut, okay. These are all the collection of all my lives. Whoa, so sorry, I'm blinding you. Did not mean to do that. All right, this is a collection of all my lives. Okay, there's quite a bit of them. And sometimes you might see my older ones when I was really focusing on, say, factoring. I was focusing on percents. I was focusing on 4-point questions for your GED. I was focusing on different concepts that you'll see on the ASVAB. So all of those, and even today's is going to be up there. Just give me a few moments to put it up there. But also in that stand store, after I stop blinding you guys, so sorry. All right, in the stand store, there's also a free math checkup. So if you want to click on that, you can just see where you are in math. You're like, girl, I already know. But it will also be nice to know that. If you already know and you know you need assistance, we have tutoring, but I also have tons of digital books. The one digital book that I really want you to know before I come back to this back to school math starter, it's called Algebra at Your Pace. So when you're learning concepts, let's just take an example of book number 1. It's a 10-book series, and it's designed for people that are taking your GED, the ASVAB, the Accuplacer, the TEAS test, and it starts from the very beginning. So it's like getting me as a tutor without actually having to pay the tutor price. So when you go in, there's a QR code that you click on. And what happens is you're going to have a recording of me walking you through all the different types of steps. Okay? So we have like the different types of numbers. Okay, we talk about adding integers, subtracting integers, and after you do all the step-by-steps and some sample problems, I give you extra practice problems. So you have that right away. So as soon as you learn, you go right into practice. That's how you solidify your learning. Okay? Learn math again? Oh, thanks. There you go. There it is, Stacy. All right, so we work on fractions, we work on decimals, okay, we work on properties of exponents. We only did about, 4 of them, okay, there's a few more, but I walk you through. For videos is a great idea, yep, because that's what you do. Because now, a lot of workbooks will just give you tons of problems. One, it's overwhelming. After you do 10, maybe 12 questions, you're done. Your brain is like done. So you sitting down and doing 50 questions and feeling so proud of yourself for an hour, you are killing your brain. 10 to 15 questions at the absolute most. Focused on what you need to do. Okay? So once you do that, at the end, you get a chapter quiz. Again, 10 questions. That's responding to what was inside of this volume. So after all that, at the very back, I like to give you reference sheets. Okay? So remember the rules of integers? We have adding, we have subtracting, we have multiplying. So there's like a whole lot. Decimal operations, things to refresh your memory on. Okay, looking at percents to decimals, order of operations, both in the US and also international students. Okay, looking at the properties of exponents. So all of this stuff is here. If you don't know your multiplication facts and you need to know factors of a number, especially to find the GCF or the LCM, the least common multiple or the greatest common factor, I got you. I got all the factors, not just from 100 all the way to 200. So you have all of this stuff here. And then to give you extra practice with exponents, I put some flashcards in the back. Okay? So now This side is the question, and this side is the answer. You can cut out the pages, or you can take a copy of it and you just fold it right here in the middle, and then you have one on one side and the answer on the other side. Yep, I wrote these books. Trust me, it took me a year. The same seat that I'm on right now. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to make the process less strenuous. Okay, so we have not only volume 1, then you have volume 2, which talks about functions, factors, ratios, percentage word problems. Okay, so you'll have all of your, oops, let me get that out the way. Okay, so now we're getting into more of the word problems that a lot of you guys that are taking the ASVAB that you're seeing, okay, for the arithmetic reasoning. And you're just like, oh, I don't understand. Well, again, I give you the instruction, scientific notation. I give you the instruction. I give you the extra practice problem. If you want the answer, it's right on the back. You can cheat if you want, but that's not going to help you. So I go through all those processes step by step. Then volume 3, we progress into solving equations. All this stuff dealt with expressions. Now we're going into solving equations. After we go into solving equations, that means we're talking about multi-step, one-step, two-step, multi-step equations. Okay? Solving with absolute values. What happens when you have the variable on both sides of the equal sign? Okay? All of that is listed. The reason why I'm just stopping with these three, the first 3 books, is I have a sale going on, which is actually going to be over tomorrow. Tomorrow at 11:59. I am doing the digital copy of these books, which you can get off of my stand store, and I'm selling them for $22. Normally, each of my books are $12.99. If you do, you can go on the A. You know, I think I have the A symbol somewhere. It was like the A. I'm like, yes, the A, the place that everyone goes to. Oh, I don't have it. I don't know where it went. Okay, you know, the brown box with the smiley face that everyone uses. Okay, you can order them off the A, but because I use color, not for the answer keys, but also for the flashcards, because I use color for just even one page, I'm using color ink and the number of pages. See? Thicker than a Snicker. So it's $24.99. Yeah, $24.99 to buy it on the A. But if you want the digital copies, I'm doing all 3 of these books for $22. For their class? Yep, some people do. And I've been, come on marketing, right? So when you go, friends always posting. So when you go onto my stand store, as I stop blinding you, it's right here. Featured items, new digital downloads. Okay, back to school math starter. Originally I was going to do it for middle school, but this is perfect for people that are going back to pass the ASVAB. It's the very first 3 structural pieces. Okay, so again, you can go straight to the stand store. All you have to do is just click on download ebook now. It will give you a little more information. So see, it doesn't take you directly to the price. I want you to read. I want you to see what you're about to get. Who's it perfect for? Okay, why are you going to love it? Okay, why would this work for you? As you keep scrolling, that's when you're going to start putting your information in. All right, and this will go directly to your email. So basically, you can get this today, right? But if we miss it out, like say, oh, what's the normal price? No, normal price for this one is going to be $30. And I'm going to leave this one up until August the 1st. Okay? But if you want all of my books, all 10 of my books, now, that means if I scroll down a little bit further, we got a lot of starter systems, just for people that don't know where they're going to start at. But if you want the complete book series, just the books, that's going to be $115. But I've noticed that a lot of workbooks, they just have answers. We don't learn that way. We like examples. We like to be shown step by step. That's why I added my ebook series, like all of my ebook stuff, plus video answer keys. So all of my answer keys, you're going to have a video of me breaking down step by step. So that is a complete set. Now the complete set is all 10 of my books. Wait, let me show you. So if anything, includes all 10 of my books. Then you get 2 practice books. One is called the ASVAB math practice, and the other one is the practice exam. You have to practice the way that you're going to test. So if I may raise this up for a minute. Check this out for a moment. So the practice exam is perfect for those that are taking the GED, the ASVAB, the Accuplacer. A lot of the concepts that you're learning for those 3 tests are the same, are exactly the same. So it's not that much of a separation. But what you do is you have 6 full-length tests. Each test is 35 questions. If you time yourself for 40 minutes in a room, give yourself enough time, and you sit down and you do the problems. Okay, multiple choice. So sometimes we just want to have some practice. Okay, so that means 6 tests, 35 questions each. It's a total of 210 questions. Imagine having that so you can practice up. It deals with everything with statistics, mean, median, mode, how to read a circle graph, how to read a line graph, how to graph, okay, slope, equation of the line, system of equations, factoring. It has a little bit of advanced stuff with the for the Accuplacer. Okay, so that's your practice exam. Then you have the ASVAB math practice. The ASVAB math practice, you're going to see more of the word problems, but again, you do have some multiple choice. Okay, some of them you have grid in. So again, it's a practice quiz. One quiz is like 40 questions, so a minute a question, that's 40 minutes. So you're sitting still, you're doing the test, and once that 40-minute test or 40-minute time frame is over, then you take a look at your answers. Okay? Now, like I said, a lot of people, it's nice to know what the B is, but it's nice to get the recording. That's why my complete set helps you with that. So not only are you going to get the books, you're going to get the full walkthrough of my video answer keys. So all the answer keys for that one book that's 210 questions, I did a video answer library for all 210 questions. For the ASVAB practice, that was, I think, 132 questions, and then I threw a bonus in there. Okay? That I did for each and every single solitary problem that's in there. So now you have that support. Do you have video answer keys for the book that I got? Yes. Yes, I do. Yes, I do. So on the very back of that book, Mel, there should be a QR code, because all of my books, if you did the physical book, if there's a QR code on the back and say, hey, would you like the answer keys to blah, 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 you scan that, and I think it's like $5.99, and I just add that on there. Okay? So, going through this is why I do all this. So now you can build your confidence. And guess what? You can have it whenever you want. You don't have to wait until I come on TikTok. I don't know how much time I have in this world. Not to be all, dim and grim, but let's be realistic. The way life has been going on, I don't know. But now, if you need the assistance and I'm not here, you can get it. Once you scan, you see it? So once you scan it, then you can have me, if you want to do this at 2 o'clock in the morning, go ahead. All right? because I'm not tutoring at 2 o'clock in the morning. 2 o'clock in the morning, Audrey is all kinds of cray-cray, okay? All right? So where did I just blew it off? My shoulders. The fella need to help me with the test. Okay. All right. So, all right, you got that? All right, so if you need, I'm trying to get that. This is Joe Narber, but I failed the test 5 times. Well, now you know. Now you know you got someone to help you. Okay, you got someone to help you. Right. Can I at least cheat while I'm still teaching myself until I get it, and I'll stop. Okay. So, if you need, this works for the tease test as well, Kevs. Oh, sorry, I'm trying to go back to all the stuff. All right. Now, Kevs, I'm not sure if you're still here. I hope you are. If anyone is trying to get the tease test and you need help with doses calculations, make sure you visit a blessed. Ooh, let's see if I can spell blessed. Ooh, sorry. Make sure you visit a blessed RN, because she does doses calculations. It's basically looking at the conversion, and that's all she does. So if anyone's thinking about getting their tease test or trying to become a nurse and doses calculations is just throwing you off, she's the one. She's the GOAT for that. Completely. All right. Yep. $22 for the digital copy of all 3 volumes. Yep. So that, the last day for that is going to be 11:59 on Saturday. Okay? So if that's what you need, yes, go ahead, definitely. Because she has her own books as well, but she's usually here on TikTok. And she's an actual RN, so if you need any additional conversations to have with her, I would do it. I would definitely do it. Okay? All right, so let me talk to you like a human being. Okay, so you learned a lot. A lot of you guys are probably like, oh, there's so much more to learn. But we need to practice. We need to take in information and then practice right away so we can solidify it. So when it's time for you to take the test, you're not overwhelmed. Okay, it doesn't matter if it's in written form or if it's in algebraic form, as well as you understand the concept and then you're able to practice by applying it. Now you solidify it. Now when you see the test, you're going to be like, not trying to think what a person did as a trick. Now you know it, so enough for you to take it, to pass the test, to move on and build up whatever career you want to do from here on in. Okay, so where do you purchase? Again, if you go to my profile, just click on my face a couple of times, you'll actually see a link in my profile that says Stan Store. So if anything, I could just copy and paste it. Well, that's the only thing about here, we cannot copy and paste. But anyway, let me just put the link, or the link's title. Okay, so I just put it into the chat. Let me pin that. Okay, so Stan Store by Math by Audrey. Okay, but I come on here to break down concepts so you can see how I teach, how I tutor. Like, this is what I did when I was in the classroom. That's why I always had like 40-something kids in my class, because the kids that a lot of people just couldn't handle, I was that teacher that says, just bring them, I don't care. Like, it'll be hot in there, but we'll be all right. As long as we got good hygiene, we good. And I had a room that had no windows. Hi. Yeah, everyone else had windows except for me. The only black teacher in the place. But we'll talk about that later, okay? So, but what I did was I made sure that all my babies, and I still call them my babies, we learn and we break stuff down. I'm not worried about like, oh, let's get to know each other. We got a whole year. But now you're trying to pass a test on old information, what I think I remember. And then you wonder why you're not doing well on that assessment. Okay? We have to boost up our brain and build up because you can do it. If I, for a person that used to suck at math and is now a math teacher, that's God. Because this wasn't the dream that I had. I wanted to be the next Whitney Houston, which that wasn't happening. But for me to all of a sudden be a person to be able to break things down, and I think because I struggled before, that's the reason why a lot of people gravitate to me. Because yes, I will use math terminology, but at the same time, I try to put it in a way that you guys will understand. So, yes, gives you hope. Yes, definitely. Definitely. Okay, so you definitely can get this done. All right? So, that's where you guys go. You can go to my stand store. If you have any questions before, do not feel like, oh my gosh, she's going to think I'm an idiot. No, no. How are you going to get your questions answered if you don't ask? Okay? So if you need any kind of assistance, go ahead, click my profile pic and send me a message. Okay? Even if we're not quite friends yet, but you can still send me a message. Okay? If you have any questions before you purchase. If you want the physical copies, if you go to the stand store, you got to come all the way down. All the way down, and it actually says physical books and resources, because I have a lot of my flashcards that's on sale. A lot of my flashcards for this. Breaking down, looking at extensions, trying to figure out how to solve, how to evaluate, all of that. But if you want the physical books, okay, you're going to have to go all the way down to the bottom of my stand store, and you'll see physical books. All the other books are digital, okay? So it's actually going to go to your email. All right? So if you have questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Even it's like I have something for my son that's a 4th grader. I see that you do 7th through adults, but I need something for my 4th grader. Do you have it, or do you know of someone? Yes, I can guide you into the right direction. Okay? Even though I only do normally 7th through adults, there might be some stuff that I know other friends are selling that will be best for you. All right? So you don't have to go running around all over the place. We ain't got time for that. All right. Where can I get the tree? Where can you get the tree? My tree? What do you want? The tree of the handwritten tree, or my lovely tree that I created? It's not really for sale. I love this tree. But I don't know. I love my tree. I haven't thought about that. Yeah, that one. Oh man, I know. So are you saying that I should make it into a poster and sell it? But I like my tree. I'm going to have to sit and think about that. So Susan D, just message me. We'll see what I can do. All right, so the 3 digital books. I'm a visual learner. Yes, okay. Yes, please. Yes, please? Really? To make it as a poster and sell it? Never thought of that. Never thought of that. Okay, I'll think about it. I'm going to think about it. Yes, so for the sale, again, that's going to be digital books. So for the 3 books for $22, that's going to be digital books. Digital downloads only. Okay, the physical books, anything physical, that has to go to the A. And they do their print on demand. So that's all we got. All right. It's like, I love that tree. I know, I love my tree too. It's weird that I sit and I stare at it because I have another copy of it over there. It's so funny. All right, I'll think about it. All right, everyone. Okay, so I'm going to skedaddle because I don't know where my cats are. And it's quiet. So you know they're thinking, they're plotting. They're plotting. But remember, I provide the food, so love me. All right, everyone. If you have any questions, definitely send me a message. And I think I will be on later on this afternoon, like late afternoon. So same with kids, right? They're plotting. So if anything, I think I'm going to be doing a little more factoring this afternoon, but we'll see, because you know how my brain works. So that's why getting the books You can just basically go through a consistent pattern. You won't have to worry about me jumping here, jumping there, jumping here, jumping there. You'll have a pattern of progression. That's why I basically did algebra at your pace. All right, everyone, enjoy the rest of your morning, and I'll probably see you later on today. All right, take care.